Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mel, and welcome back to Mel Got Game, where I bring you top plays, top sports news, and breakdowns of the previous week. So if that interests you, please like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into it. So guys, we have pretty much just passed mid-season in the NFL. We are now in week 11 and so many crazy things are happening in the league. For one, the 1972 Miami Dolphins will once again remain the only team to have a perfect season for another year. As the last remaining undefeated team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles took their first L against the Washington Commanders. Next, the AFC East is absolutely the best division in football right now, as each team is over 500 in the division. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a division has ever had all of its teams make the playoffs. So they could very well be the first division to do so. And lastly, the Colts just hired Jeff Saturday after firing Frank Reich. And Saturday was actually a high school head coach before being hired by the Colts, who lost his last game in his high school head coaching career, and then turns around and beats the Las Vegas Raiders. Now there's so much more going on in the NFL right now. I mean, it is really just crazy. The script writers for the league are really working overtime this season. But regardless of all the insanity the league has to offer this year, today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit more normal, which is the MVP race. Now every year, us as fans love to talk about who's going to win MVP. And many times these talks can start as early as when training camp begins. And while we never know exactly how the season will play out or which players will have the best shot at winning the award, it's always fun to discuss our own opinions about who should take home the hardware no matter how early it is. And as we're just passing the midpoint in the season with just 8 more weeks to go, we can start making some educated predictions on which players will end up getting one step closer to claiming an MVP title. Now the MVP award, for me at least, is not just about the individual stats and performance. It is mostly about that, yes, but what strengthens their performance is how well their team is performing and what things that person is doing to help the team win more games. Now, typically, the person that wins is usually a quarterback. It happens without fail every year pretty much. The candidates consist of mostly quarterbacks, and then there's a wide receiver or a running back thrown into the mix to balance it all out. And with the quarterbacks winning the award for the last 9 years, and the last non-quarterback to win the award came back in 2012, which was Adrian Peterson, it's likely we'll see the same thing play out this year. I mean, it is ridiculous how every other position has to perform at an insanely high level to even be considered for the award. And then oftentimes not even win it. I mean, we saw it with Cooper Kupp last year, nearly breaking Calvin Johnson's receiving record for most receiving yards in a season, while also going on to win a Super Bowl. But he was snubbed for MVP, with Aaron Rodgers winning his 4th overall MVP and his 2nd consecutive MVP. We also saw it with Derrick Henry in 2020, when he went over the 2,000 yard mark for rushing yards, something that only a handful of running backs get to achieve. Then he didn't win MVP, coming up short to Aaron Rodgers again. Now, I say all that to say, I definitely hope we can see another position be crowned MVP soon. But the tradition of handing it to quarterbacks is something that seems like it'll never change. Now, with that being said, let's look into the players who have the best chance at winning MVP this year. Now, this list is my personal opinion on how I think the players are performing this season. And on my list, I have 5 players who could potentially be crowned MVP. I'm gonna rank them 1 through 5, with 1 being the front runner of the MVP race. Now, getting into our first candidate, we have our first and last non-quarterback, which is Tyreek Hill. Now, Hill was acquired by the Miami Dolphins in an offseason trade, and is largely the reason why the Dolphins are leading the AFC East right now. Tyreek has 1,148 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's catching 76% of his targets with 81 receptions off 106 targets. Now, with 8 games left, he's on pace to have his best season yet in terms of receiving yards. His best season came in 2018 when he posted 1,479 yards and 12 touchdowns with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if he averages just 50 yards a game over the next 7 games in this season, Hill is certainly to surpass that at the end of the year. Now, even though Hill has been the best receiver this season, as he's currently leading the league in receptions and yards, he still will need to do a lot more to pad his resume in order to compete with the quarterbacks in the MVP race. One thing that would definitely help him compete is scoring a lot more touchdowns, as he only has 4 on the year. But in my personal opinion, Tyreek will probably just stay a candidate and not become a true threat to win the award. Because if Cooper Kupp couldn't win it last year with the record-breaking season he had, then the hopes of any receiver winning are slim to none. But regardless, it doesn't take away from the outstanding season Tyreek is having. Now, coming in at number 4, we got the veteran Geno Smith. Now, before the season started, nobody who watches the NFL would have ever thought Geno Smith would be an MVP candidate. I mean, me personally, I thought this was going to be a rebuild year for the Seattle Seahawks, and they were going to be shopping for a quarterback next season. But Geno has silenced all the doubters as he has put together a very impressive resume in the first half. He currently has 2,474 yards, 17 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. And he's currently hitting on 72.8% of his passes. Now, Geno had some huge shoes to fill with the departure of Russell Wilson and what he had done for the Seattle Seahawks. And while he obviously has not had enough time to fill his shoes entirely, he has truly stepped into his role as a leader and a savvy veteran who consistently makes good decisions on the field. He currently has the Seahawks in first place of the NFC West, and with help from his teammates, he's looking to take back the division once more. And the thing that strengthens Geno's resume so much is his leadership and how he uplifts his teammates. In one of the games they had, wide receiver Tyler Lockett dropped a wide open touchdown from a pass from Geno Smith. And after that, there's a clip where Geno can be seen coming over to Lockett and encouraging him after the drop. And later in the game, Smith connected with Lockett on another long touchdown pass. His leadership is largely the reason why he's been able to command the Seahawks to the record they have right now and win over the hearts of their fans. If he continues this, he could for sure win over the voters and take home his first career MVP. And in the wise words of Geno Smith, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back though.
Yeah, they wrote me off, I ain't right back though. That's the problem. I ain't right back. Let's go.
And those words have obviously been what Smith has lived by this season. At number 3, we have Mr. Never Gets Warm, Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow has put up an impressive stat line in his third season, and it's very clear that he's evolving and growing as a quarterback. He currently has 2,535 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, and is hitting on 70% of his passes. Now, here's the thing with Burrow that's so impressive. Week 1 against the Steelers, Burrow threw 4 interceptions, one being a pick 6 to Minka Fitzpatrick, and then somehow was still able to throw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, while taking the Steelers into overtime before losing on a field goal. After that game, many people were like, yo, what's going on with Joe Burrow? Absolutely nothing. Nothing was going on with Joe Burrow. We're all just freaking out for no reason. Burrow has went on to throw for 274 yards a game, 16 touchdowns, and just 2 picks every game after his 4 interception game against the Steelers. Since that game, he's just been so much more efficient than 95% of quarterbacks in the NFL. He's really the true meaning of never folding under pressure. And as far as the Bengals are concerned, they're right in the division race, being 1 game behind the Ravens at 5-4. The key to Burrow strengthening his MVP resume is really just to win more games and ultimately win the AFC North. And as far as I'm concerned, Burrow has the capabilities and the tools to do just that. Next at number 2, we have the man that Buffalo just can't get enough of, Josh Allen. And when I say they just can't get enough of Josh Allen, there was literally talk of voting Allen to be the mayor of Buffalo. I mean, if that's not a fan base showing appreciation for their quarterback, I don't know what is. Allen has had an amazing season so far, as he's 3rd in the league for passing yards with 2,733 yards and 2nd in the league for touchdowns with 20 of them. He's really been able to air that ball out there, which has contributed to Buffalo scoring a lot of points this season and continuing their dominance on offense from a year ago. Currently, the Bills sit at 2nd in the AFC East after being dethroned by the Miami Dolphins, after the Bills lost to the Vikings in one of the craziest games this season. Now, with Allen being one of the front runners for the MVP, he does have one large blemish that could potentially damage his chances of winning should he not clean it up. Now, this would be his interceptions, as he has thrown the most interceptions among any quarterback in the league. Now, Allen isn't unaccustomed to throwing picks, as last year he did throw 15. And even though he's 2nd in the league in touchdowns, those interceptions stick out like a sore thumb, and it isn't appealing when voting for MVP. I mean, if you look at the last 3 MVPs, all of them had under double-digit interceptions. And when Patrick Mahomes won in 2018, he had 12 interceptions, but also had 50 touchdowns. So if Allen continues to throw these picks, he's going to have to make sure that he throws 3 times as many touchdowns in order to stay in the race. Now, last but not least, the player that I currently think is in the lead for MVP right now is the magician, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes literally defies all sense of logic when he plays. I mean, the way he's able to just completely turn play after play into big games and oftentimes touchdowns is just mind-boggling. He's currently 1st in passing yards with 2,936 yards and 1st in touchdowns with 25. as well as 7 interceptions, and he's hitting on about 67% of his passes. He currently has the Chiefs in front of the AFC West with a 7-2 record as the team looks poised to make the playoffs yet again. Now, the most impressive part about Mahomes' season has been his play without Tyreek Hill. Before the season, many people believed the Chiefs, as well as Mahomes, wouldn't be nearly as good as they have been when Hill was on the team. But Mahomes has proved the doubters wrong with his play as he's leading the Chiefs to another great season. In my opinion, this season has been the most impressive for Mahomes with the absence of Hill, because he's had to distribute the ball evenly among all his receivers. He's been able to do that very effectively, which is not something many quarterbacks are able to do without a top receiver. Because of how Mahomes has been able to distribute the ball evenly to his targets, along with how well he has the Chiefs playing right now, he definitely has the best chance at winning MVP if he continues playing like this. Now, I do want to throw in a little honorable mention here. My honorable mention MVP candidate is Lamar Jackson. Now, we all know Lamar is one of the most versatile quarterbacks to ever touch a football field, and he's showing that yet again this year. While he's already had 2 seasons with over 2,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards, he seems like he's well on pace again to accomplish that same feat. He currently has 1,768 passing yards with 16 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, as well as 635 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. He also has the Ravens in the lead of the AFC North with a 6-3 record, as the team looks a lot better than it did last year. Now, with Lamar proving yet again that he is an all-around threat at quarterback, he already has a strong and unique resume for MVP, and we'll see if it's enough to make people consider giving it to him for the second time. Now, guys, that is my list of MVP candidates through 10 weeks of the season so far. Let me know what you think of it, as well as which player you think has the best chance at winning MVP right now. It's still a lot of football to be played, which means that the list could completely change around by the end of the season. But regardless, we'll have to wait and see how this crazy NFL season unfolds to determine a winner. But guys, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy. It really means a lot to me to know that you guys support me and are liking my content. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'm gonna see you guys next time on Mail Guy Game. I'm out. Peace. Girls want girls, girls want girls. Why is that song stuck in my head? I have no idea. I really don't. These little twisty things, bro. Frito knew what they were doing with it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. The regular Fritos are these, bro. My God, one of the best chips ever made. Frank Reich. And just 2 picks in every game after his 8 interceptions. Holy crap! I hope nobody throws 8 interceptions.